Very much, Brian. And rest of the story can go to their workshop. But I want to point out that one of the big problems in this whole area is the courts. And we have a couple of lawyers who are going to discuss. I don't see any of them in the room now. But we have a couple of workshops on the court decisions, which are basically very anti-parent, and want to allow the public schools to teach anything they want to our children over the objection of the parents. And my book, The Supremacists, really does describe what has happened in the court. So I urge you all to get a copy of the book. Anybody else you want to say?
Just one more preview of what you're going to expect to see here is, of course, well, the issue that got me involved was the pro-life issue. And I'm excited. A lot of people say, I've heard everything there is to hear on the issue. How can we do? We see the court. We see where it's going. Well, I am going to be doing a workshop with Congressman Trent Franks. And Janique, if you want to come up, she's going to be joining us as well. It's, I believe, the most effective pro-life tool in the pro-life movement since the silent scream. This thing is amazing. What you're going to hear from Congressman Trent Franks is that they showed this on congressional, showed it on the Hill. And they brought in, there were 19 members of the Congressional Black Caucus who showed up. And they expected them to have some pretty solid and pretty strongly, fervently pro-abortion people that their bosses represented. They represent and with their bosses, and they said they came. They expected them to stay a few minutes and leave. Well, they came and they stayed the full 2 hours of this movie. And one woman went up to Congressman Franks. She said, "I came with one agenda, and I'm leaving a changed person." She was crying because this was so effective in reaching, well, what is now the ultimate form of genocide. It is black genocide that's happening even now, and this is, I think, the most powerful tool. Janique and I just showed it in an African-American church this week, and we saw people all over the congregation who said, "I didn't know." Janique, if you got just a second, I want to have you address that.
And actually, based on that statement, I didn't know. We hear people say that all over the country. And you know, there's a proverb that says, it's actually from Hosea, that says, people perish for a lack of knowledge. It's for a lack of knowledge that people do not know that there is this ma'afa. Ma'afa is actually a Swahili term, which means genocide or horrible disaster. But why do we call it? People say, why do you call it, though, a black genocide? Well, let's look at this from a figurative standpoint. What did we call it when 6 million Jews were killed? We called it genocide because genocide it was. What did we call it when in Rwanda over 800,000 people were killed? We called it genocide because it was. And so what should we call when since 1973, 60 million human beings have been murdered, and in fact, about 12 to 16 million of them are black human beings? Well, we should also call that genocide, but what we do in this country is we call it freedom of choice. And to be honest with you, there is nothing liberating about a decision that results in the destruction of human life. And so that's what we will really be focusing on at this workshop, is how to stop abortion by looking at this new approach of really taking it back to its roots, which is helping us to understand that at the core of the abortion agenda was to actually exterminate a whole ethnic population. So it really is about education so that we can take back America.
Appreciate that, Janine. Some of the things you're going to hear and see in this film, we're going to show a portion of the film, is that an African American in America is 5 times more likely to have an abortion than a Caucasian person. You're going to find that the majority of the abortion facilities, 80% of them are in minority neighborhoods. And you're going to find that 25% of the black population has been exterminated since Roe versus Wade. It is genocide. And when you see it, I think there's a lot of people whose eyes are going to be open, and we're going to see this movement transformed. I believe it is the crack in the wedge in the wall that will bring Roe versus Wade crumbling to the ground. One other thing I want to add as we close today, if there's any questions that Phil certainly can ask that, but I'm going to be launching tomorrow a grassroots initiative that has never been done in this country at this level. It is, I believe, one of the most exciting things I've ever seen in this movement, that we're going to see results out of it. I don't know how to say it except that it's historic without giving it away. It is something that is a message that Congress simply cannot ignore. They've been turning away. You know, they're taking phone calls while cancer survivors are asking questions about health care. They're ignoring the largest record-breaking crowds at the National Parks Police just in Washington 2 weeks ago. They're not paying attention to the tea parties and the town halls, and I believe that what we're going to launch is something that they cannot ignore. I'm going to tell you about that on Saturday. I can't wait. Please don't miss it, because you're going to hear about it, because I believe it's going to be historic in nature. It's never been attempted, what we are going to try to do, and I think we're a long way toward getting there, and I can't wait to tell you. So unless there's any other questions, Phyllis, I'm thrilled to be a part of this, and I'm glad I'm here.
All right, well, thank you all for coming. I hope you stay for the weekend, attend all the workshops.
Oh, okay, good.